Hello everyone, my name is Tokyo Drew, and I made a couple of rant videos in the past. I know my last one was 6 years ago. Time really flies. So everybody's talking about the new Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and I've also been playing it too. I already got 200 hours in it, and it's been like a love and hate thing. So when I first started playing it, the game had a great intro. It had a great set piece where you meet Ganondorf and everything, and I like how he's more of a fleshed out villain this time as opposed to just like some force of nature that he was in Breath of the Wild. And then you get your power stripped away, and then you awaken in the Sky Island. So overall, the intro was great. Everything was very good. The Sky Islands did a great job introducing you to the mechanics, kind of like the Great Plateau in the original Breath of the Wild. And all of that was great. And then I found when I finally got down to from the sky into Hyrule and I got the power glider, I felt kind of it felt kind of derivative for a bit, like because you're back in pretty much the same Hyrule. I mean, areas are different, but not so different. You have the upheaval, and there's some areas that have changed more than others. And I was exploring for a bit, and then I did the first main dungeon, and I hit kind of a lull with it, honestly. After that, it just seemed kind of overall, it just seemed kind of like an expansion to Breath of the Wild. Not much was different. So I remember when I got to that point, I did the first main dungeon. I took a break from it for a couple of days, and then when I finally went back to it, I don't know, something just clicked. The game had a lot more collectibles. Like I started to like finding the wells and the bubble frogs, and really waking up all the fairies and getting my armor set to like really the first or second main level. So I felt like you died in like one or two hits regardless of how many hearts you have. I mean, the first game was like that too, but I felt like it more so in this game. But I felt the difficulty spike was a little more drastic. But I will say again, after being 200 hours in, I'm going for all the Korok seeds. I don't know why I'm doing that, but it's crazy. I did it in the last game, got all 900. This one has 1,000. I'm already about halfway through, but overall, like now that I'm really into the game, I really enjoy it. It feels like Breath of the Wild was like a beta compared to this game. Like at first, I hated the depths. I hated going to the depths so much because it was dark. You had to get to all the right light routes to even see anything. But after really exploring it for a while, realizing every area under there, like all the mines underneath all the towns have different pieces of armor to get and stuff like that. Like it made it worth your while to go out there and collect everything, and that's the biggest difference. I like this game over Breath of the Wild. You get rewarded for going to different areas and really exploring. I felt like Breath of the Wild was empty in a lot of areas except for the Korok seeds. This game, I feel like it's great. A lot of areas in the depths you go down. A lot of the mine areas have armor pieces, which are actually all in Breath of the Wild, but I believe in Breath of the Wild, a lot of them were hidden behind the amiibo functionality. This game does it too, but I don't think it's required. Like, I got so much armor from going into the depths, just exploring all the mines and stuff like that. They did a great job with that. Like, they filled it out very nicely. Going into the sky, exploring all the sky islands. Like, I feel like they did an excellent job doing that. But again, the game didn't click with me right away. I'd say it took me maybe 20 hours to really like get into it and enjoy it. Now I'm 500 Korok seeds in. I've been hitting all the caves, getting all the bubble frogs, and the game is great. I got a handle on the combat, which is not too different from the other game. I find this game though, rockets seem to be the answer to everything. Like I fight Gleox with the rockets on the shield, the little Korok escorts. I just attach rockets to them and just launch them in the general area. Hope they get to their buddies because I hate walking them over and building the vehicles. It's cool, but I feel like it's time consuming. And then using the auto build for the Zonite. But as much as I do like both of those games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, they both sold really well. Nintendo is probably not going back to the traditional Zeldas, which for me is kind of sad because I used to love the traditional Zeldas. Like the last traditional one was Skyward Sword, and again, it wasn't a bad game. It was more linear than the other ones. But a lot of people don't realize with the Zelda games, a lot of the Zelda games, like the first Zelda sold really well, first and second Zelda sold really well, Link to the Past sold really well, and then pretty much when you got to Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask sold really well, and then Wind Waker kind of tanked it for a bit because everybody got turned off by the art style. And I was one of those people too back then, but I grew to appreciate it. Now I love Wind Waker. I'll play through it, even to this day. And then Twilight Princess again kind of brought it back. And Twilight Princess was the highest selling Zelda up until Breath of the Wild. Because again, with Skyward Sword, everything kind of stepped back a bit with sales. But Nintendo's pretty much sticking to this format. I mean, I love both the games, but it is kind of sad to know they're probably not going to make a traditional Zelda. We could just hope from this point that they're going to do remakes like they did with Link's Awakening, which is now the third time the game's being remade, considering it came out for the Game Boy, then the Game Boy Color, and then it's on the Switch. So, at least if I get those, we'll be happy. But overall, though, Tears of the Kingdom is very good. Again, I'm decent ways in the game. I'm probably going to easily put more hours into this than Tears of the Kingdom. But if you guys find yourself playing it, you get into a lull, because I did. I got into a lull, like 20 hours in, because it just seemed too similar to Breath of the Wild, but just stick with it, catch a couple of frogs. Going in the caves and wells is really fun. Like, I did all the wells. I went into most of the caves. They track it, and it just feels like you get rewarded for everything, so I feel like that's a big step up. And I feel like going back to Breath of the Wild would be really hard if you play Tears of the Kingdom first, so that's another thing to consider. If you haven't played either game, just go to Breath of the Wild first. I feel like if you play Tears of the Kingdom, and going back to Breath of the Wild would be a really, really hard thing to do. So, anyway, that's my take on Tears of the Kingdom. Again, for me, it was a slow burner. It took a little bit for me to get into it, but now that I'm into it, I really do enjoy it. And I know a lot of people out there too, because I know it's again, it outsold Breath of the Wild already, so they know their fan base and they know what they want. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.